calling my wet dress rehearsal, kind of borrowing the term from SpaceX. Essentially, using my kitchen, but using it as if it was a commercial kitchen. And we're going to do all the same steps that we would do. For example, I'm wearing my apron here. I've got my hairnet on, so no hairs get into anything, and all of the things that we learned from our Serve Safe certificate. So let's get started. You can see here I've got my cart, and this will be how we move the cheese to the smoker and back into the commercial kitchen. What you'll notice is I've got this special stainless steel tub with all these holes in it. This is for brining the cheese. So once the cheese has been cut to its portion size and placed in here, we'll mix up some brine in this brine mixing bucket here. The brine plus ice will then be placed into this larger tub. The cheese dipped in. Once the cheese has been brined, and take it back out, allow it to drip off. We'll then be placing the cheese on the same racks we used in our older smoker. As it turns out, 3 of these can fit across a single rack space in the large smoker. What we want to do is we really want to handle the cheese as little as possible when we're out there in the smoker. We don't want to be sticking each piece in there one at a time. To make the brine, I will use about 4 to 5 cups of white vinegar and 4 cups of table salt with about 8 cups of spring water that I warmed up. And I'll get those mixed together, and that'll be added with our 16 pounds or about 2 gallons of ice. For our wet dress rehearsal, I'll be smoking some of our favorites: Cabot, Seriously Sharp, some Manchego, some Parmesan. But I'm going to be doing something a little different this time. Before I even open those packages, I'm going to take a picture of the lot numbers and basically the price tag, everything that's on there that has any information, in case of any possible recall on these cheeses. If, for example, Listeria was to get into something, then I could also issue a recall to my customers. So it's important to have this information, and it should be kept for about 90 days or so until you know that the cheese has probably already been consumed at that point. Well, it's time to cut the cheese. And this part, of course, is got to happen so that we can have small enough pieces so that we can get them fully smoked in a reasonable amount of time. Remember, a 8-ounce piece of standard cheddar cheese will take about 2 hours to smoke. If the cheese is harder, it can take even longer. Let's get that cheese into our new brine system. We'll put it in our holy pan, and then we'll dip it in that brine. Time to get the ice in. While that cheese is brining, I need to get out and get the smoker going. First, to get the refrigerated part down to temperature. Let's go and see what the settings are on it. You can see it's showing us 72 degrees, so let's hold set. 39, 7.9, let's take that down to 37. Hit set. And we should be good. Time to put the smoking generator together, so let me put that in. I've got my aerator here with the manifold control, and then the smoking unit itself, which just snaps together.
I'll be using a nice mix of apple and pecan today, which is my favorite mix for most cheeses.
Okay, so there's our outdoor temperature and our 3 levels. See if I can get that light back on. Our 3 levels within our cold smoking refrigerator. So we're gonna let that sit for a little while, get closer to our 41 degrees where we really like to smoke at.
So I'm going to start the smoke generator first by turning on the air pump and controlling the amount of air flowing through the venturi, which will then cause a suction. And of course, when I put the torch to the little hole there, it starts the fire right away, and you can see the wood through the hole there getting nice and bright orange. And we should have smoke in just a few seconds. Not quite yet. Just a little bit of smoke coming out. You can kind of see it. Maybe. I don't know if it'll show up on the camera. And there it is. As you'll see, just in a few seconds there, it gets thicker and thicker, and we're ready to go.
Turn down our air. We'll open up one of our bleeders, turn off 2 of our main tubes, and that should get us a nice, there we go, perfect.
The cheese needs to come out of the brine and kind of drip off for a little bit. And conveniently, the racks that they'll be going on fit perfectly on top of these tubs, making a perfect way to let it drip out. And so this will make my process quite easier, because once it's dripped a bit, I can just take the pan off and do that, as you can see. And now we're ready to roll out to the smoker. Smoke generator is quite loud, so I've decided not to use any of the audio from this, but you can see I'm placing the cheese inside the smoker, and there's plenty of good smoke coming out. And this new Mark III smoker is working beautifully. And I've had no complaints from any of my customers who've given me a taste on these cheeses. The beauty of this multiple wireless thermometer is it allows me to keep tabs on what's going on inside the smoker while I'm in the kitchen, either washing or preparing the next batch of cheese. 2 hours later. 2-hour smoking time has gone by. We're going to crank up our exhaust fan all the way to exhaust out the fridge before we open it. You can see it's kind of coming out there. That way we don't get a face full of smoke as soon as we open the door. It's time to take the cheese out and get it back in the brine for our final brine wash. And then we'll be ready to package it. Into the brine, just like before. Put it in our special pan and dump it into our brine tub, which is still full of cold brine that's been kept in the commercial kitchen refrigerator, waiting for this final step. And now we'll vacuum package the cheese, as I normally do. I'm using a chamber vacuum system here, and I discovered that this system does not work very well for me. It's actually quite slow and doesn't get enough air out, so I'm going to have to be replacing that with a commercial standard style where the bag sits outside and it just sucks all the air out. And that's going to work the best. It'll be a lot faster. It was an unfortunate accident. I wanted to try these chambers. I thought they'd be faster, but they are quite a bit slower to use. I mean, they work fine for what they're designed for, but they just don't work for this process. And that's the reason for doing a wet dress rehearsal.
And there it is, ladies and gentlemen, the final product. Fully packaged, fully labeled, and ready for sale. Now I'm going to get more sophisticated labels as time goes on. Label for each kind of cheese, but for now, we'll be doing it like this, as the batches will be small. Bigger than this, I hope, of course, but one step at a time.
Ooh la la.